Hey everyone, welcome back. I know it's been a while. Unfortunately, I did take a tiny break, but it was due to the fact that I did have COVID and was just dealing with that and some sickness. But I am back and ready to read and to speak with my dear friends again. Now, we're going to be reading from the Book of the Bizarre, Freaky Facts and Strange Stories by Varla Ventura. And these are short stories, so please keep that in mind. If you have any suggestions on, wanting to hear something, then definitely comment down below and let me know. And I'll do my best to try and find it and see what I can do. But without further ado, grab your snacks, grab your drinks, sit back, relax, and let's get to it, shall we? New England Ghost, as told by Raymond Buckland. I first came to the United States in 1962. I lived on Long Island, New York, and then, about 10 years later, moved up to live on the shores of Lake Winnepeca, New Hampshire. My wife and I purchased a house there at Wares Beach. The house was built circa 1825. It was a beautiful two-story with an attached out-barn stable and outbuildings set on a couple of acres. Right from the start, we felt very comfortable and very welcomed in the house. It had a very large living room with a wonderful beamed ceiling. The room ran the length of the house on the west side. A staircase went up to the center of the house. The front door was at its base, and there were 4 bedrooms above. On the east side of the house was the kitchen and my study. The study had 2 windows looking out to the front and one looking to the side. A later addition was a screened porch that ran across the full front of the house. The door at the east end of this porch opened onto a paved path leading to the garage and the driveway. We quickly came to realize that the house was haunted. While we sat downstairs in the living room, we frequently heard footsteps walking about in the bedrooms. I particularly remember one time when the footsteps walked across the room above my elder son's front bedroom and then started down the stairs. My wife and I were sitting in the living room, and we both turned to see who had come down, since neither of my sons were home. We expected the person to come around the corner from the foot of the stairs into the living room, but no one came. The footsteps had stopped at the bottom of the stairs. I got up out of my chair and went to look. There was no one there. The staircase was empty. On another occasion, my wife's grandmother was staying with us, sleeping in my elder son's bedroom. One morning she came down to breakfast and reported a nighttime visitor. She said that she had awakened in the middle of the night to find a woman standing at the foot of her bed. There was a nightlight in the room, and she could see that the woman was wearing a long blue dress. The figure studied her for a moment and then turned and simply disappeared, fading away to nothing. I saw a figure myself once. I was in my study when I heard the screen door bang and looked up to glimpse a man crossing the porch to go to the front door. As I got up from my desk, I expected to hear the front doorbell ring, but it didn't. I went and opened the door and looked out. There was no one there. The porch was empty. There was no one outside or anywhere in the driveway. The screen door invariably squeaked when opened, but I didn't hear it squeak on this occasion. We lived in the house for almost 5 years and became accustomed to our ghosts. They were in no way malevolent. We were sorry to say goodbye to them when we eventually sold the house and moved away. And this is a little saying from Kim Elizabeth. She says, "Nothing beats a haunted moonlit night on All Hallows Eve, and on this fatal night, at this watching time, the starless sky laminates black and unmoving. The somber hues of an omniscious dark forest are suddenly illuminated under the emerging face of the full moon." Our next story is Not All Haunts Are Old. Brad Steiger's Real Ghosts, Restless Spirits, and Haunted Places is chock full of fantastical, frightening true tales and terrors. Among them is the story of a woman and her husband who moved into a house in 1992 when the house was just 11 years old. Not long after moving in, the woman began to hear someone walking in her upstairs hallway. Convinced it was her son sneaking out, she would go upstairs to check on him and find him sleeping soundly in bed. At first, she did not speak of the footsteps, and even did not say anything to her husband nor her son. Then the footsteps increased in frequency and changed location, including coming into her bedroom. It didn't take her long to learn from her husband that he too was hearing many strange noises, particularly when he was home alone during the brightness of day. In the first month of living there, she told author Steiger that they went through at least 100 light bulbs. Lights were constantly blowing out all throughout the house. The woman said the noises had begun just after the family had moved in, when she'd hung an old lead mirror left behind by the previous owners. Well, that's where they messed up. In the hallway opposite of her son's room. Only when she got rid of the mirror did the noises stop. Well then, just remember, if you are going to keep something, or if you do end up getting something from, say, the thrift store or whatever it may be, always cleanse it before you bring it into your home, because you never know what kind of energy is attached to the item. And truth be told, it could be good energy, or it can be something that's meant to be positive, but in the long run, you don't truly know what the person that's giving you that actually has. So just be very careful, everyone, with that. The next story is Animal Apparitions. Not only do animals sense ghosts, but animals also can be ghosts. For example, after Rudolph Valentino's Great Dane, Kabar, is reported to haunt his former owner's gravesite. In Port Tobacco, Maryland, there is a blood-stained rock known to locals as Peddler's Rock. It is said to be home to the Blue Dog, who guards his dead master's buried treasure. In Casper, Wyoming, ranchers have long reported the image of a white steed galloping across the area known as Rattlesnake Range. This horse was known as White Devil when he was alive, due to his reputation for fiercely defending himself and other horses against the mighty lasso. In Reading, Pennsylvania, the ghost of Mrs. Bizinger and her children still roam an area near the Union Lock Canal, where she drowned herself and her children in 1875. Visitors to this area often report being overwhelmed by a sad and horrific energy. A fond farewell. Dana was the youngest of 4 kids, living in an old Victorian house in the Minnesota suburbs. Her grandfather, who lived in the same town as she did, was sick in the hospital, but Dana was too young to really know what was going on and that he was dying. One day, while her mother was at the hospital, Dana came walking down the grand staircase in her house. To her surprise, she saw her grandfather walking up toward her, looking healthy and happy. "I wanted to say goodbye, Dana, and I love you very much," he said, and continued up the stairs. Delighted, the child raced into the kitchen to tell her mother that Grandpa was all better and that he'd come over for a visit. But her mother had just returned from the hospital with some bad news. Her grandfather had passed away earlier that afternoon. Have you seen a ghost? It is possible that you have and just didn't know what you were looking for. If the figure you saw was unusually pale, disappeared after an instant, ignored you when you spoke or called out, appeared in an old or odd place, and was dressed inappropriately, often of another era, perhaps you have seen a ghost. Of course, many of these characteristics could describe some of your relatives as well. And we're actually going to end it there. I know that it's short, but I just wanted to read a few short stories. I wanted to catch up with everybody and just let you guys know, where I've been and how things have been going. But definitely next video, we will read a bit more and go from there. Okay. Remember, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it if you join the friends. And till next time, this is Ruby signing off.